And we're going to start with our so-called hearing, 169 South Street. And the continuation of gas flow for the subject.
Public hearing notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upland Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. 7 p.m. A notice of intent filed by Rick Morrell for the construction of a paved access roadway to a 4-lot subdivision at 169 South Street. All interested parties are invited to participate. Complete copies of the applications are available on the Commission's website.
Okay, we have Rick engineer here.
Rick, do you have an engineer here?
Hello, hi everybody. This is Rick.
Yeah.
I think Sean Malone is he?
Sean? Yeah.
I'm here, and we should have Susan MacArthur as well.
Okay. Oh, there she is. So I'll promote you guys to panelists so you guys can talk and share your screen.
Hello.
Let me know when you can see this.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got it.
You see it okay? I can zoom in a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, thank you. My name is Susan MacArthur from MacArthur Environmental Consulting. And also with me, as you already heard, is Rick Morrell. He is the applicant and property owner, as well as Sean Malone from Oak Consulting. He's the project engineer for the project. And this NOI is being filed for the construction of a new subdivision roadway off of South Street. Just a little bit. So South Street's down here. And this is the existing conditions and here, but the proposed subdivision roadway will come in, and it will eventually adjoin 4 future residential lots. And we recognize that they will be within jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So we will be filing future notices of intent for the development of each of those lots. I am not exactly sure when that will be, maybe end of the summer, maybe the fall, but we will be coming back before you for that. So this project is, a little bit. So this project, there are bordering vegetated wetlands along the side of the existing roadway, and there is an isolated freshwater wetland on the north side here. And let me just, I'll go to Sean. Any particular plan I should be on for the proposed number sheet 5?
I think probably sheet 201 would show everything. Yeah, that one.
This one, okay. All right, this is a little bit of a different orientation, but so north is facing to the side. So we have filed this notice of intent for this subdivision roadway, portions of which will be within a slight portion of BVW. We're just going to be touching it a little bit here, and we are within the 100-foot buffer zone to the BBW, as well as the locally regulated 30 and 50-foot buffer zones off of the BBW, as well as the isolated wetland. So the parcel itself is 86.5 acres, and it's undeveloped, primarily forested. Taft Mill Brook runs through this portion down here. We are, oops, sorry.
Yeah. Susan, I think maybe switch to the overall, the sheet before this to give the overview.
The sheet before it, okay.
Yeah, that shows the entire parcel.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Sorry, it's just a little slow. It's a large file, so yeah, this is a good site. Okay, so Taft Millbrook runs in a north to south direction through the property. We, in this particular project for the roadway, we are not in the riverfront area. We're not touching it. The existing paved part of the roadway, which then transitions to gravel, and it kind of ends in the back here. Beyond Taft Millbrook, there's sand pits in the back, and this roadway is about 15 feet wide, and the stream, it does cross the stream. It is culverted right now. It's culverted here. So let's see. There is a fire gate that does discourage the public from coming down here. And the stormwater, I will eventually turn over to Sean to talk about, but existing conditions, it just sheet flows off of the roadway down into the wooded areas of the lot, and some, as well as the vegetated wetland areas. So this area, so these wetlands were delineated by MacArthur Environmental Consulting back twice, actually, two different times. August of 2023, and then March of 2024. So I went out twice to look at, and delineate different areas. So we recognize that this isolated wetland here, there was some talk that it is a vernal pool. It's not listed on the Natural Heritage Atlas as either potential or certified. However, we recognize that it could be. When I was out there, I didn't see any wood. Obviously August it was totally dry, but the first time I went out in March of 2023, I did not see any wood frogs or anything. But then again, I wasn't, I was just delineating. I wasn't hired to, assess whether it was a vernal pool or not. So, so no studies have been done to confirm this. However, recognizing that it could potentially be, we, kind of made every effort in the design to stay away from this area and kind of shift things over on this side in order to, like something would have had to be impacted, on either side, just due to the fact that, the width of the proposed roadway, as well as utility pole, sidewalk, things like that. So, anyway, the proposed project consists of constructing the new subdivision roadway, which will end in the cul-de-sac down here. It will provide access to 4 future residential lots, which aren't shown on this this particular plan. We are also proposing 4 vehicular parking locations up toward the front of the site closer to South Street. And the proposed roadway will be approximately 22 feet wide. It'll have granite curbing along a portion of it, and it'll provide two 11-foot wide travel lanes in either direction. And a 5-foot wide bituminous sidewalk is proposed along the southwest side of the roadway, beginning at the parking spaces. And kind of, Sean, is it end up, I can't remember if it ends up at the cul-de-sac, I think. So the middle of the cul-de-sac is proposed to be planted. It won't be bituminous. There are electric lines that will be installed along the roadway to provide future, power to the future homes out here. Approximately 5 utility poles are proposed. And as I said, as a result of this work, there will be approximately 252 square feet of BVW impacts. And we, as well as impacts to the buffer zone, approximately 22,815 square feet of impacts to the 100-foot buffer, approximately 5,030 square feet to the 30-foot no disturb zone, and 10,169 square feet to the 50-foot no building zone. I'm not sure if the commission has a waiver request form, but in the notice of intent, I did state that we are requesting a waiver for work with this area. And I'm going to turn things over to Sean to talk about proposed stormwater. Sean, tell me which plan I should be.
Yeah, tell you what, why don't I share my screen? Might be easier for me to direct.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Susan. And I just want to go back and just kind of touch on some real high level stuff that I know we've talked about a little bit with the commission before. But as Susan had mentioned, this is an 86-acre parcel. Our project currently is just this roadway up in the front. This back area is in a little bit of this front area is encumbered by floodplain as well as Army Corps flowage easement. So that's shown here on this map. And as discussed previously with this commission, Rick is still considering trying to get it going to get a solar farm in this back area. So we will be back to the commission as part of that process. So I just wanted to update the commission as to all that and make you aware we haven't forgot about that or any of these other aspects of this land. But going back to the project at hand, as Susan had mentioned, 750-foot long cul-de-sac, 22-foot wide paved width. We do have a sidewalk on one side. In the first half of this roadway, we have the road with sloped granite curb. And the second half, we have open drainage with a swale down to catch basins kind of in the middle of the roadway length at the low point. And the reason that we use the slope granite curb at the front of this project rather than a open ditch swale system was because of this crossing and to minimize any of those impacts, minimize this width. We minimize the roadway. The town standard for a road like this is 26 feet. We had previously talked to the planning board about making that more narrow. I think from a suggestion from a commission member during the preliminary review. So we have done that. We are proposing the 22-foot width to minimize the impacts and the granite curb so we don't have to spread the impacts along the side of the road to fit in a swale. the drainage all comes down to this low point here where there's a couple catch basins that are kind of in a riprap area. And then this drains back along the driveway to the rear of the parcel to a sediment forebay and infiltration basin. The net result of this drainage system is a reduction in the rate of flow from the site. Exceed actually by quite a bit the recharge standard required with the DEP, and we are fully compliant with TSS removal and pretreatment. So this design meets all the state stormwater standards. I think with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Susan, unless there's anything else you want me to go into. Oh, you're still muted.
No, I think that is it. If you wanted to put your screen back on, I can show them the proposed replication area. It's yeah, just want to go over that a minute.
So we can show them where it is relative to the project, and then I can go to the detail sheet if you like.
Yeah, that sounds good. So the I don't know if you can see my cursor, but up near the road, so in this, yeah, Sean.
Right near South Street, the new subdivision road.
Yeah, so it's easily accessible, and you know, it is kind of at the bottom of the slope there, as I think Mary's in her comments has said. We felt that it was probably the best location, just given the excuse me, given the access. You know, there's not going to be a lot of impacts to other resource areas trying to get there or anything like that. And you know, it is hydrologically connected to the area that's being impacted. And you know, construction will include clearing of some vegetation and you know, installing an erosion control barrier prior to any disturbance or anything. And we do have a wetland replication spec that we have included in the submittal. So we are proposing some plantings, northern arrowwood, high bush blueberry, silky dogwood, and as well as underseeding with a wetland seed mix in that area. You know, it's a pretty small area, so there's not a lot of plants proposed, but I think that is it. Does anyone have any? Oh, I think I forgot to say, we are proposing also 13 street trees along the access roadway. They'll be spaced approximately 75 feet apart. And they'll provide shade as well as you know, nesting cover for any wildlife. And I think that is all. I mean, does anyone have any questions?
What's your presentation?
All right, yeah, I just had a few comments. Hoping we could see some of the wetland data sheets. Although, you know, as I looked at the delineation, it for the most part looked really good. But I thought it was interesting at the replication area. I actually thought you were maybe too generous, like the wetland line went too far up the hill. So I was a little concerned that maybe the replication area might not be successful because it might not get down deep enough to get hydric. So maybe we can just look at that section of the line and pull it down a little bit to make it a better fit.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point. Yeah, we can take a look at that. And one thing I wanted to offer is, you know, if the commission feels the need for a site visit, we'd be happy to entertain that as well. in the future.
Yeah, and just the vernal pool, so we're pretty sure that it is a vernal pool, although it hasn't been certified. So we would, under the Upton bylaw, we don't really require that it to be certified, so we're gonna ask that you put the vernal pool resource area on the plans, and the 50-foot no disturb from that, so we can see how that is. I think probably the roadway itself would be fine, but it may impact some of the building lots more, or have plans for that. Or it may, anyway, I think we need to see it on the plan so we can fully evaluate the impact.
Okay.
And then I just, the fact that you're not, there's no plans to put like a because there's no culvert existing there now. But I was just wondering, for the sake of wildlife, if maybe a box culvert could be installed at that crossing to allow for some, especially since there's gonna be more traffic on that road, to allow for amphibians or other animals to get back and forth underneath the road. And if there is some, it seems like at one point there was probably connectivity between those two wetland areas before the road was put in many, many years ago. And just to restore that connectivity, if the applicant's open to, putting a box culvert in there and just supplying that, so.
I think we were concerned about changing the hydrology of that isolated wetland. If we were to put a culvert in, we were worried about, would then the area hold water? Would it be flooded more like year round? We just didn't want to mess with the hydrology. So we kind of said, you know what, let's just not go there. You see what I mean? There still will be, who knows which way the vernal pool critters are going to go to, but there'll still be plenty of woodlands, upland, overwintering areas that they can head in the other direction. Just throwing it out there, but I see your point. I don't know, how does the commission feel about changing the hydrology of, one thing maybe what we could do is put it up higher, how it kind of goes up the hill a little bit. That's a possibility with like a very small culvert, just to allow the critters to go through, but I don't know. I don't think that roadway is going to have a whole heck of a lot of traffic except for the residents down there. So maybe it's not going to be a big issue anyway. I don't know.
The elevation of the vernal pool, I feel like it may be lower than the actually, the low point on it, but maybe not. I'll have to look at those plans again.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything kind of slopes from north to south. So the vernal pool's on the north side of the road, and then it all kind of flows down south to the larger wetland system, and then ultimately the Tap Pond Brook.
Hmm.
And then I was looking at just trying to think about the critters again with the stormwater. And I think probably, the idea of having the riprap around the catch basins would probably tend to discourage them, although I did not, so that seemed positive. And then the final question is for Rick Morrell. He had created that forest road. Eventually what's going to be the status of that road? Will it kind of not be needed anymore now that there's a subdivision road?
You're talking about the access to the backland?
Yeah, from your property, from your house to the.
Oh, that road. Yes, that will be Right, and not used any longer after this road is in, correct? Well, what would we need to do for that? Anything?
Yeah, we may look, the commission may ask you to maybe revegetate that area
Yeah, it's just-
or something.
As a neighbor, that was my concern, because it's so close to people there, and I didn't see that road on the plan, and that was
Right,
primary reason for being.
Yeah.
So,
Just to let the audience know, usually Mary, our consultant, starts and then the completion, and then able to put. Ask for the opinions. That's fine. Okay.
and you know, with the level of this project, you know, as I was reviewing it, I was thinking the commission may want to ask for additional peer review. You wouldn't have to, something to think about. This is a 4-lot.
Yeah, and I will offer that, you know, we obviously are submitting to the planning board for the definitive subdivision approval. As part of that process, I'm fairly certain that they're gonna require peer review. I think it was it BSC or DGT that did the preliminary review? And they talked about stormwater, so I think all of that would be reviewed as part of the planning board process.
And then, this is for when you finally do the solar, but at the Taft Millbrook crossing, there's a bunch of Japanese knotweed right at the crossing that hopefully can be taken care of.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know whether I can pull up some pictures too as well. Here's the vernal pool, just a week or so ago, still has water in it. And the Taft Pond Brook. Oh, and then I guess trails was another thing to talk about with the board. If you walk up along the northeast side, it's kind of a lovely open, well, it's animal trail, but it would be a lovely area for a trail potentially. And then this is the area of where the replication area was gonna go, and you know, I don't know that we need this huge white pine, but there were some large trees in there. It's just showing that.
Hill there?
The replication area?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on a relatively kind of steep slope, well, not hugely steep, but I was a little concerned about that maybe. Concerned that the delineation was actually maybe a little high in this area, we maybe need to pull it down. And then I think maybe it'll be a better spot to do replication.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's all, you know, it's kind of where, you know, South Street and then it, you know, kind of
Sure.
drops.
Okay.
It pretty rapidly to the main part of the wetland there.
And just to let people know, a replication area is to replace what was being disturbed. So they'll be creating a new wetland.
And there is, of course, no DEP number yet, so.
I saw that. I don't know why. There are no comments, so it didn't say like waiting for a fee or anything like that. So who knows?
Yeah,
They're taking a long time,
great.
Yeah.
all without the DEP number. Any questions, Mary?
I ran through my comments. Okay, anyone else has?
Do the questions or comments from the commission?
Just about the road coming from his yard to the thing. It would be nice to have that, you know, seeded with some kind of mix that makes sense. I don't know how compacted it is or
Right,
whatever, but
it's kind of has a mulch or wood chips on it right now.
Do you have any questions or comments, Marcella or Ellen? Yeah,
No comments for me.
Okay, thank you.
No comments from me either.
Okay,
First, I have a couple of things. Could you show the plan that shows the catch basins?
Sure.
Just want to make sure I understand what's going on there.
Definitely. There we
And yeah, maybe zoom in on the catch basin.
Yeah,
So there's,
so
how many catch basins are there gonna be?
two, one on
Just
each side of the
two.
road.
So that's good because that's relatively distant from the vernal pool. I like the location, but I'm afraid it might be more directly across from the vernal pool than it is, so that's good, okay. And so just surface flow will just flow into those catch basins down the road and then both 12 directions. And then into the stormwater system. Second question is for your drainage calculate or your stormwater calculations, what rainfall frequency or rainfall amount for 100-year storm did you use? You know, there's various options out there.
Yeah, I use just by practice, I always use the NOAA Atlas 14. What the number is offhand, I can get you that in 1 second. Get that here. So, with me. All right, so the NOAA number for Upton is 8.01 inches in a 24-hour storm.
Thank you. Let's see, next question is for the replication area. I'm not sure, could you work around? I didn't quite understand, is that big pine tree at risk?
Yeah, well, yeah, if we
So-
leave it where it is,
So, I
yes.
mean, this is like 500 square foot replication area, not just, if you could just find a way to work around large trees and their root zones. It's a shame to cut down a large pine tree just to meet this regulatory requirement.
I mean, we could take a look at it and see if there's, if we can shift it a little bit, there's room to, we can be flexible about that.
And it's 500 you're proposing, but the fill is only how much?
252 square feet of impact.
So you could make the replication area smaller, perhaps to.
We could, we did a 2-to-1, but we can make it smaller.
1-1 is, the commission isn't required 2-1.
The-
The bylaw.
I'm sorry, what?
The commission doesn't require 2-to-1 replication.
Does not? Okay.
It's normal.
Yeah, and I might recommend that, when it comes time to build that replication area, maybe this is even a condition, is that, we stake out what we want to do and maybe have Mary come out and take a look at it, or Mary and a commission member, something like that, before shovel goes in the ground.
that's a good idea.
That's good. And the last thing I have is, this is kind of more of a thinking ahead to the solar farm, but we had an informal meeting a few months ago where we talked about the possibility of a trail along Taft Mill Brook. Kind of goes to the south, probably into the Corps of Engineers property. I was just wondering if the owner had any objections to us being the commission, going out and GPSing that existing trail so that we have a better idea where it is and how wet it is. Kind of in advance of your solar farm filing, that's all.
Yeah, I have no objection to that. The only thing I would say, just give me a heads up when you're gonna go back.
Sure.
My niece walks a lot of dogs back there, and you don't want to stumble on them, so just let me know what you're thinking.
What we'll do, thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Anything else from the audience? You need to know your name and your location, and then your question, please.
Last chance.
Okay, Kathy Cohan, 173 South Street, and you answered the question about the existing dirt road, and what's gonna happen with that. Just, the lots themselves, when they bought a wetland, what do you do to prevent lawn runoff, from the chemicals just spraying the lawn? There's a 50-foot buffer zone. I think you'd said,
Right, yeah, we can condition, that. In this situation where there's wetlands all around, I mean, we could condition that no herbicides are to be used or fertilizers on these properties.
can you really do that to someone's private property though? I mean. My lawn looks awful because we try to tell the guy don't put any herbicides on it because my neighbors have bees, but
Yeah.
I just, didn't know how protected the wetlands would be from the runoff.
It's not something that we could really monitor and enforce.
I don't know, I mean, it's private property.
It's not,
That's
even
not,
though it's a really good idea, we don't always have conditions of it.
To be suggested, but. Hard
Yeah,
to
hard to-
Yeah.
source.
That was actually one of our conditions in Webster, every league. So that's why I was thinking.
I think we used to have one on there, didn't
Yeah,
100 years ago. Yeah, it's like you say, you can put anything you want on there, but enforcing it's not the thing.
well, and we could do it, we could put it, say within 50, we could put a distance on it.
I didn't know what that 50-foot buffer like meant.
There will probably be some bounds on
Right,
residential lots, which basically beyond the bound is those there. That's kind of all we did.
That's the place, house rats, there was no mowings.
Because we don't have DEP number, this will be continued to another hearing as well. So you pay attention to our postings. So,
How far along are they with the planning board? How soon is this likely to be finished? All the permits gotten. Are you with the planning board now?
I believe they're gonna go before the planning board, September maybe, or end of August, is that
Got a
right?
few months, couple of months.
Yes, in August, we hope to get in front of the planning board, and then I'm sure we'll have another visit a couple weeks after that meeting as well. So maybe sometime in September, we'll have this approved.
They want to leave it open until then, or?
well, we
We
can,
can close it,
Yeah.
the EP number,
so with that said, we can continue this hearing.
August 14th,
Okay, what time?
7 o'clock.
Okay,
So you're more than welcome to come again.
Each.
Okay, so,
Peek at the things.
oh, sure.
May,
Thank you so much.
Are we all set for tonight, Mary?
Yeah, I think so,
So.
Okay.
Sarah's sorry.
All right, well, thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
we're gonna need to be quiet though.
Oh. Tom, can we just go out there? Yeah, we just take it out there. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hard to make quiet. Just being honest.
Sorry, I spoke out of turn.
Tree spacing, I don't see anything.
I shouldn't sit at the table.
Planning board, I should find out what the planning board requires for tree spacing, 75.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, kind of near the front, are they really gonna cut, I mean, there's trees already.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I'll look and see.
And if they still personally find we need to.
How are you?
Yeah.
Very well.
Hi there. Okay, so starting with, doesn't it, 47 Main Street,
So soothing.
chapter 48.
I must have back almost.
Well, I hate it. Well, my husband's not well, so I
That's
have
not
to be available. Sorry, apologize.
All right,
Okay.
so
So we're all set.
yes, and yeah, so last meeting, we heard from the Conservation's peer review consultant and we've had a written reply. And I think the board just wanted more time. Do you want to hear from Margaret again or from Kevin and David?
Do you go with questions? Other question?
Yeah, there's the general things, then there's a few specific things that we'll need to talk about, nothing major, just fees and stuff like that and bounds.
I thought the last meeting was pretty clear.
Okay.
What were the little items? We did have some things. What were they? The
Right.
round?
Wait till we hear back from another board or something, or we.
Oh, the selectmen thing?
Yeah. something.
Yeah, so I feel like that was, I don't think we need to worry about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
That was.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, I talked to the planner and he kind of updated me at the last CBA hearing, they kind of put that to rest, I think.
Yeah, just so you look,
They went through the whole letter.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and the selectmen actually opened a meeting before our zoning board meeting. And they read their findings and they were not moving forward with anything and they were very comfortable that the zoning board was handling it perfectly and they were very comfortable that how the conservation was handling it. They said, basically, you're not gonna hear from us anymore. So,
That's a good thing.
yeah,
Yeah, so the minor questions we had, one of the issues that both DEP and the peer reviewer had brought up was the fees and Chris has been in on these. So working with the applicant and the state, we came up with that we're gonna charge a fee for 3 buildings instead of 4 because 2 of the garages are barely within the buffer zone. And so that was fine for the state. There is, however, a local bylaw fee that the applicant did not pay because it was a 40B and, do they need to pay it? I know we had talked about it originally. But they did end up paying out for the peer review about $3,000 and the local fee would have been about $3,000. So
Is it wash?
so the board could just waive that local fee, the local town bylaw fee, because they've already paid out, or you could decide that they should get it. Was kind of outstanding issue on the fees.
Okay, any members of the commission? What are your thoughts?
Not an issue for me.
Me neither.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Make a do you want a motion?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that for the 47 Main Street application, the commission waives the local bylaw fee. Waives the $3,000.
Town bylaw.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, I'll wait for Chris,
Tom, I.
Sandy, I.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
That's vote the commission.
All right, so that was the fees, and then something else came up as I was putting together a draft order was bounds, which our peer reviewer didn't discuss because I didn't tell her, oh, we always do bounds. So we typically do bounds, and if the board would like to see that on this project, I think we just have to, talk about where they would go on the plan. As you know, the wetlands are kind of all over the place on the plan, and the building is almost surrounded by the wetlands, so you would have bounds several different places.
Didn't they have fencing and stuff?
we
Well,
do.
is there fencing?
Oh, yeah.
Is there fencing? Well, maybe the fencing would,
And just put signage on top of the fence. or
That could-
something.
yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the whole plans, there's
Yeah.
a lot going on.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would be comfortable with that if it makes sense.
And I know Mary, David only brought that up at the end of the day. I
right,
think the board knows me that,
Yeah.
I don't want neighbors or anybody in the wetlands either, so wherever we think we should do signage or bounds, you're not gonna hear like any squawking from me. I'd like to just do whatever makes sense, so.
Right.
I think we had 4 bounds, I think currently.
It was in there,
Well,
right, that was just a place.
That's the place, I didn't.
Some kind of balance.
So your boundary and then your property line aren't too far apart, are they, the wetlands?
Well, some places it's actually fairly far away, some places.
So if you're fencing along the wetland boundary. or-
Well, I think,
If you-
what Tom, I think was maybe, is a good idea, is that we do have a lot of places where we've got, like a heavy duty, wooden guardrails. Where I think those are very solid places, for signage.
Right,
We're definitely, obviously fencing in, around all of the detention basins, so. Really that, the side of the building that faces School Street, which I'd say is probably most of our wetlands there. Yeah, I mean, our property is gonna be a little bit elevated, so we're gonna either have garages or guardrails.
okay.
For the most part, kind of blocking
It's gonna
access to
kind of
anything down the
drop
back,
off down there.
right?
I think the more barriers you have, the better your
Mhm.
neighbors feel.
Right, so yeah, I guess.
So if you, like on the south side of that page, probably the best thing, there's garages,
Right.
then it's a guardrail. Then that's all landscaping, and I think that's even a guardrail too, that's a guardrail on the left-hand side, yeah.
So there's gonna be like no, is it gonna be lawn beyond the guardrail?
Well, we will obviously revegetate anything that's been disturbed, Mary, but in general, it's gonna be really meant to go back to. Being natural, but maybe just making sure that it doesn't get taken over by anything invasive or, just to keep
Right.
it so it's not creeping into the parking lot or anything.
Yeah, that I was just kind of curious whether you'd have people mowing that might,
Yeah, I guess if I had to say right now, Mary, it would probably be on the same plan that our management plan is for the detention, the basins. So that's, usually like once a month, just to make sure that there's nothing growing, and there's no trees starting to grow up and things like that.
all right, so you have the kind of guardrails here and then along here, it's also.
That could be a good place for some of the bounds, honestly, that might make sense there.
Um,
I mean, wherever it makes sense, if you're working with Mary, I think Mary.
That's what I was gonna ask, Mary, if you want, it all makes a lot more sense when things, get a little closer to being completed.
right, so we
And I'm
can,
sure we'll be doing a lot of walkthroughs with you there anyway, so maybe we just, at some point, walk through and just figure out what makes sense. On the right-hand side of that page, that really is all blocked off of the parking lot, because where all those, the plantings are, there's actually a privacy fence that's
Right.
with those trees. And then as it comes down to that basin number 2, that fence ties right into the fence that goes around basin number 2, so we really do have very limited ability to have people
Right.
wandering into those areas.
there's not gonna be a lot of grass to mow here.
No, a lot more shrubs, trees, flowers, and we did get that on the native species, so obviously that's no problem
Okay.
whatsoever. I'll probably have, we usually use Walter Swift, so I'd probably have him put a list together, and we're not planting anything yet, so,
Of course.
but we'd have you sign off on that, Mary, if you were happy with that.
Yeah, and I don't know if the board wants to go through the draft order of conditions now, or talk about some of those.
I just had one question, is there a spot for snow? Like.
Yes. Yeah, we've got, Andrew's on, right? I think we have 4, I think we have 4 locations, right?
Yeah, Andrew, Peter.
When it was discussed last meeting. I
Yeah.
believe,
Oh,
Yeah.
Down in the corner.
What will the order conditions, so you did that?
All right, so I don't know how many of the board members read through the conditions that I sent out. But one thing that sometimes we can get done in Webster was, require an independent inspector to look at the erosion controls once a week. And went back and forth with David and Kevin about this, and they recommended, and this seemed reasonable, to have, the on-site SWIP person who's part of the Lobiser team do inspections, and then have someone from Goddard come in once a month, kind of do a review. And then after any rain event, more than a 1/4 inch, so that seemed very reasonable. You'd have someone out there after the rain events, which is the main
Yeah.
concern anyway.
And honestly, we'll have two people instead of one. It's just, yeah,
So I thought that was a good,
Yeah, and then with reports to the commission.
yeah.
yes,
Both people, Mike, will do reports. So we'll do it every 14 days. Goddard would do it every once a month. And if there's any event that's a quarter of inch of rain or more, Goddard will do that report alongside, our person and file it with Mary.
so that seemed good. Yeah, and so we talked about the native species. And then we talked about the bounds. Something that Chris had recommended was that all the fill material, just you have written proof that it's, certified clean fill.
Okay.
And then, because of the issue on 140, Chris had recommended a condition having to somehow to check the drainage on the other side of 140. And so one thing I thought might be possible, like Antonellis came up with this, that maybe, 6 months to a year after everything's stabilized, all the stormwater is kind of done, that after one of these larger storms, like a 1 inch, 2 inch storm, have an engineer go out there and look at the system and evaluate it, is it working? Is it doing what it's supposed to be doing as a condition?
Right.
And that is separate from the, the regular, as-built kind of. So that's an idea.
So my question on that, and I'm not sure if I heard of anything. Wasn't all that, wouldn't we have to go on private property for that?
This would just be looking at the stormwater systems on this.
Oh, okay, so not the other
Just
side of
ma- Yeah,
140.
just making sure that it's
Okay.
working as it.
I thought you said on the other side of 140.
Well, right, I know that, I think he would like it if we're monitoring stuff on his side, but I don't. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
You'll have to call the town to help them with that.
right.
Yeah.
So that's a potential condition that we could or could not include.
Well, Mary, we did, Peter is on the call too, so I might want him to chime in a little bit. The only thing that I was nervous about was that 6 months or a year later, we would have a very arbitrary kind of process, which that would make us, very unnerved, So what we were thinking, and I think it's, I think 2 or 3 steps even greater than that, would be, I know that at the end of the project, and any of the projects, we have to give the board as-built in order to get a certificate of compliance, so that's a very standard thing. But Peter had suggested that what we could do is that when we do the as-bills, they would then take the as-bills and do a whole new HydroCAD calculation to make sure that it was actually built and the HydroCAD system was still exactly as designed. And then I would be okay, if the board was okay, that we would, through the board, repay Stantec to let them be a third-party peer review. The reason why we'd like to use Stantec at this point is because we've worked with them for 10 months. They put us through, Peter can correct me, but at least 5 revisions on the drainage. And I feel like we basically ended up building a drainage system that the town's peer review engineer wanted us to really push towards. So I don't want to be a year and a half down the road and then have to re-educate, so, because we know that all engineers have different ideas on things, so it's like, we don't want to be in that position. We certainly want to be held to the standard of building and designing what we said we were going to do. I just don't want another engineer coming in and saying, well, I would maybe do it like that. Well, okay, but they both work, so we're gonna be okay, and I don't want to end up in a fight, that's like, I got people trying to move in, and
Well, and I
That's
guess
all.
my only thought with pushing it out a little ways is I know sometimes, it takes a while for the
Yeah.
education to be established and give it some good time to be established and.
that's why I was thinking maybe we have, I don't want to speak for the engineer, so I have no,
Okay.
I'm good with that. I just wanted, if Peter is on, that he could chime in
Yeah.
and just say if that would be some type of a situation that we could do. 6 months, we get it on the road after it gets vegetated.
So I could comment. So the reason why I kind of gave my opinion on that additional, as-built information for the town. I mean, we would take the as-built information because we would as-built the basins, and we could use those sized basins, put that into HydroCAD, and then compare the HydroCAD from the as-built conditions to the pre-development numbers, and then submit a drainage report showing that the as-built conditions works this way, and then these are the pre-development numbers. And I think that would be a good comparison to show the commission that, the basins were constructed as planned, and, we still meet the pre-development conditions. We've reduced the volume and the rate off our site. And that's the reason why I suggested doing that. I mean, most of the times when we do a certificate of compliance plan, we do an as-built, and we do verify the volume of the basins, but we would take it one step further, put it into HydroCAD, and then run it through HydroCAD for the commission. And I think, we would certify that it was, designed, and we could show that the as-built conditions work. That's why I suggested that option.
Thank you, Peter. Margaret, I believe are you still on? Do you have any, as another engineer, not an engineer, any comments on how the best way to kind of condition this? If you would have opinions as an engineer.
Sure. Good evening, Margaret Bacon. I'm a licensed engineer and also a professional wetland scientist with Ecosystem Solutions. And I've been designing stormwater structures probably for over 20 years. And I'm not here to, pick apart your drainage. I understand drainage. There's a lot of moving parts. And I've seen, and unfortunately, I've seen sometimes when these drainage systems don't work. And so I'm always from the mindset of an abundance of caution when it comes to drainage. Now, in a situation like this, what concerns me is that we are surrounded by residential properties. And it's not like that if anything did not function correctly, it would just overflow into a river or a lake. This will all flow down towards School Street. So those were my big concerns. And what I used to do on some of the basins that I've designed, because what happens, you'll know if some of the assumptions for the drainage is not accurate, you'll know rather quickly whether these things are going to work or not. But what I've done too on some of my drainage systems, that after a certain rainfall event where you have a number, then you go out there and look at those basins and to see if they're, actually holding the water and discharging the amount that the model says it is, especially after a big rain event. And then the other concern I have with these infiltrating basins is infiltration basins are a little higher maintenance. And they may function okay for the first year, but the what ifs, the what ifs happen. And if they don't function as designed and you do get back-to-back storms, all that water is just gonna go over the emergency spillway and flow out towards School Street. So I do know in your comments that you prepared, you mentioned something about the abutters property on 6 School Street and 4 School Street. Something was going to be done there. I'm kind of curious what you plan on doing.
You want to answer? Yeah. 4 School Street, actually, for Paul, that is really going to be a big row of evergreen trees. So that's really not a lot of drainage. But in the backyard of 4 and 6, if you go out there right now, they have a huge depression in their grass area. You could walk out there now with or without our project. They have a pond there when it rains. It's temporary. It sucks back down into the grass and all that kind of stuff. So what we have offered to them, but we haven't brought this in front of the board yet because it would be very premature to do that when we don't even have a project yet. Peter and Mike Dean at DNL, they have put a plan together that we were going to basically re-landscape their low-lying area, put in I'm not sure, Peter, if it was 1 or 2 extra drains, and we were going to try to pipe the water to a different location. The agreement that we have with the ZBA and with the neighbors, it's a very clear understanding that that project or any variation of that project only can happen based on how we do with conservation and what you guys decide you would like to see or not see. So that's what's happening there. And we're also, Margaret, doing work up at 45 Main Street at the funeral home. They currently, you know, if you stand in their parking lot, they're looking basically right uphill. Water, you know, flows onto their grass and then right onto their driveway, which they're a funeral home, so a lot of times there's a lot of pedestrian traffic there. It ices up in the wintertime. And we had suggested, and they would like us to do it, and that's going to be just to the south side of the wetlands. It's currently a grass maintained lawn area. We were talking about doing a diverter drain, because to the left of the, I'm not sure how I guess I have to point at it, but to the right of the actual funeral home, there is, right where the finger is, Mary, yeah, there's actually, maybe a little lower, but there's a manhole there that was put in, I don't know how many years ago, to try to pick up that water. But they put the manhole in, it's all piped, but they never regraded the yard to actually have the water get to the manhole. So same agreement with Andrew. Andrew's the owner of the funeral home. It's that we're willing to try to help the neighbors that have existing issues already. And but it would all be subject to us putting the final plans together, submitting them to the board, doing the walk at the properties with you guys, and making a decision on what made sense or not made sense.
Sure, I've been back there and I'm familiar with that piping behind the funeral home, and right now it pipes right into another wetland that's not shown on that plan. And then from there it drains to School Street, and it enters a catch basin into School Street, and then from there I don't know where it goes. You know, same with over at the other drainage goes to adjacent to 6 School Street. There's another culvert there, but I think that culvert's been modified over the years, so you don't know what, you know, actually the capacity of any of those culverts are. Once, if for any reason excess flows made it to those culverts, can those culverts handle the additional capacity? Because if they can, it's going to back up. So those were my concerns, basically, with the stormwater. And so I guess, you know, to condition it or to put into conditions, you know, like I say, if they're not sized appropriately, I think the town will know rather quickly. I think that's it for me on that.
So very well.
That was pretty much it. I don't know if the board wants to kind of state on how we should condition that or not condition that or whatever. Or if you understand what we're trying to condition.
So.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know that it works. So that's important. And, you know, after everything's approved or whatever, I do think we should be able to get a review on that, especially after a big rain event, just to make sure. I'm not sure how to do that, but I do understand about using Stantec and all of that. I'm very comfortable with that. And I understand, you know, there's 10 different ways to do the same thing. So I get that. So I agree with Chris. There should be something. I do not know how to word it. I do agree with Kevin that Stantec should be the one doing that review. But we should be able to make sure it works. That's all. That's all. I'm not sure how to back that up. I mean, Kevin had a proposal. You know, they talked about, you know, going in after and you know, checking the size, but I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really don't. I know if it works, it doesn't. If water's flying all over the place, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I'm.
Yeah, yeah. Could you ask Peter, Mary? I mean, I think now we've heard, you know, I guess to me, it does seem, I certainly don't have any issues with anything we have to do. I just want to make sure it's something measurable, you know?
Right.
And I don't know if it makes sense that, after things are stabilized during a certain rain event, if Peter or Mike can, you know, work with Stan Tech to go out to the site and actually look at it together and,
Yeah.
you know, have a narrative that gets put together that says it's functioning or it's not. Like I haven't,
Right, yeah.
yeah, I'm not trying to run from any of that. I just want to make sure we understand what to do.
Yeah, a 1-inch rain event after 6 hours, there was a smudge in the.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, measure the depths and.
Yeah.
And see if, because I mean, in theory, they should be able to model there, all right, after a 1-inch rain event, it should be how
Yeah.
deep, right?
Yeah.
And then they can compare it with reality, that, to me, that,
How quickly did it filtrate? So quickly did it filtrate?
yeah, and then check it over, you know, a period
Yeah.
of hours, you know, the next day or whatever. So-
Peter, can we do that? Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I don't see, you know, I don't see why we couldn't do that. You know, 6 months after, we could go out there after a large storm event and see how it's working. We can monitor it, and then, you know, if Stan Tech could also go out there and monitor it, and then we could get together and just, you know, show each other our results or write a report.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, if we can word that, I'm fine with that.
Right, and I still think the HydroCAD, taking the as-built conditions and running it through HydroCAD would also, I think, make everyone feel better that, okay, the HydroCAD says it works, and then we also inspect that. So you have kind of like two options to make sure that the basins were constructed properly and they're working properly. That sounds like a good idea to me. That sounds fine.
Go with both of those two, Mary.
Okay,
Peter,
Would you be okay with installing a rain gauge someplace on the property?
I don't see why we couldn't do that too. We could install a rain gauge. Yes. Yep.
I know that during our construction, we set that up. That's how we measure if we need Goddard out there or not for the water registration. So I do know that we do that temporarily while we're there building for sure.
Yeah, that all seems reasonable to me.
and either.
Good luck writing that, Mary.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
They're here.
Maybe Peter can help you with that.
Maybe you could, yeah,
The back plan.
Peter or somebody can help.
Peter?
Peter,
Did you hear Chris's question?
What was your question? I didn't hear it.
Perla, is that working? The backup plan.
If during that rain event, we find that it's not working properly, what's the backup plan? I think I know the answer, but I'd rather have you answer as the engineer.
If it's not working I guess we would have to go back and check our numbers and see what we could do. We would have to, I mean, I guess I would have to see where I could adjust things to see how it would work. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't know.
We have to fix it.
Yeah, I would have to see what's not working, and then I'd have to look at that area and then see how I can fix it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would do that.
And one big thing with this too, guys, is that with a, you know, not that we would ever want to do this in any project, right? But with a regular subdivision, we're eventually giving it to the town.
Right.
And it's really like, you know, I think everyone here knows it's not my attitude, it's not my problem, but
So,
it, you know, this is my problem.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're paying to manage and maintain this
Right.
property, so I want to make sure that they're working too.
okay, thank you.
You're under the microscope too.
Yeah. Oh, we're so used to that now.
So,
Yeah,
No, I meant with this particular.
yeah, no, I thought.
well. And attended the zoning board of appeals meetings, that was my school time. Okay, any other questions from the commission?
oh, awesome.
Bill, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay, Mary? What's our next step?
I think, and so are you ready to close the public hearing and I guess we can rework the conditions, maybe improve them next time, but I think we have a really good start on them.
we know what we're trying to say too, Mary, so if you send it over, we can help.
Right.
If we need Peter to chime in, we could even potentially reach out to David Glenn, who is the civil engineer at Stantec, to make sure that, you know, if
Right.
we can do whatever you need us to do.
So Kevin, would you like us to close the hearing?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, so for the vision. We have a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second. To a voice vote, Chris, I.
Tom, I.
Alan,
My God.
Marcella, I.
Excellent, 15 minutes, so the members present. Good job.
Thank you, guys. Nice to see everybody in person.
Oh, we have David Kennedy, I'm sorry.
Does anybody realize how many years it's been?
I'm sorry, David, I haven't been looking at this,
I think this is my 28th.
I believe it.
Let me see, I came on the board before peppercorns.
Yeah.
You're talking a lot of years.
Can you get this?
David, would you like to talk?
Where's David? Is
He's
he
on the
Yes.
screen.
So we're not done yet.
Yeah.
It could be that he's not. Oh, here he comes.
Maybe it was just waving.
David Kennedy, debating on.
I just wanted to get an idea of, like, there's no trees between the property and 4 and 6 School Street, right? They're taking them all out.
Not true. There's a tree there.
There's a tree left.
Tree line, tree line, tree line.
And behind 23 and 21 Hazeltine. Those big
Oh,
white pines,
Not even being touched.
yeah, by Basin 2. That little triangle there, yep, right there in that triangle.
Yeah.
Are they gonna remain?
That's not to be disturbed. Yep.
Those
Okay,
trees.
all right. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're
All right, I'm going home to eat dinner.
Thank you, Peter and Andrew, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my-
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, we have in 170 West River Street, FEMA removal in CCR.
Is it 8 o'clock?
Okay,
Yeah,
change all,
let's see.
okay, I'm trying to be in touch.
It's been a lot worse than this.
Commission, you're here for
all of
170,
the agreements for one time and then they just go through.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, my friend had to go through her.
Do you have a preference?
No, this is, what we do is fine. We're
No,
not
no,
fine.
I'm just saying.
All right, so give me a minute here to find the aerial photo.
Tom said it could be worse, it could be a lot worse.
Agree.
We waiting.
Wait till we have all the health club apps come in.
Okay, so we have the owner here of 170 West River Street. And this is his property. And I should have, maybe we can pull up Mass Mapper, but there is a conservation restriction on a lot of this. I think it runs along here. And it runs along there. Maybe I'll pull up the Mass Mapper so we can look at that as well.
I'm here if you want.
What are we looking at?
So this is 170 West River Street, and he wants to put a pool in and do a bunch of things on his property, and I believe the pool is well away from the wetland. But he needs to pull some trees down, and some of them might be in the CR. That's why he's here. That's because trees and CR. And let's pull up Mass Mapper, and because that shows the CR nicely. So here we are, here's 170. And so here's his house. And the conservation restriction runs like that. And you can, I think the gray is kind of the trees. You can see that. So his property line is there, and then the conservation restriction runs on that side, so. We look at back here, the conservation restriction runs kind of along here. Then it runs like this, but then it's not in this section. But you thought you were gonna have to pull a few trees out of the conservation restriction.
Correct.
Right, and the wetlands are here. The pool is going, again, if you remind me, it's like going back in here.
Correct, where the cursor's at right now.
Yeah, and so the distance, I remember thinking it was pretty well far away. Yeah, so here's the one at 105. The pool's going further away, like over here, right? But some of the trees that you're gonna remove may be, well, some of them are within the CR and some of them may be within 100 feet.
Correct.
Right, so that's the,
Could those trees be considered future hazardous trees?
the big white pines.
Yeah, the majority were all pine.
But I mean.
Yeah, but could they fall and hit
So you
something?
could pose a hazard to the pool area.
For the
Yes,
pool, yeah,
so the area in question is right where the cursor's at, is the bottom, right on the line. I brought some pictures, so everybody kind of has situational awareness of where everything's kind of located. I brought the plan also. So it's the bottom right or lower left-hand side, right where the cursor's at, there is a little bit of a rise of elevation. And that's where the, like you just mentioned right now, would be kind of a hazard because they are tilting towards the house.
These big ones or these blue ones?
Yes, ma'am. So there's 4 in total. There's 3 that are already dead, so I just didn't count them. And if I just go a little bit past that, because they are in danger to falling into the house.
We're talking about all of these?
Yes, ma'am. There is,
It's not a pink thing.
yep, so that would be the marker right there for the line for the wetlands. I would be encroaching this area right here.
I think this is true.
All of them I've been told about, 6-inch diameter is the biggest one. That one I would say is somewhere in 3 to 4.
I don't have any problem with that.
I haven't had a chance to do a site visit.
And you guys are more than welcome to do a site visit. Everything's been taped off, so there's no question about it. There's no trees in question.
The main reason I had him come to the board is because I believe the trees are in the CR, and I did not read the language in the CR, but I just assumed that. With
Mike
your permission.
Mike will know.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago, but just, general practice like the Rockwood Meadows. We've allowed some hazard trees to be removed that were growing within the CR, so. And that's a reasonable practice to continue.
We're always willing to take a kind of hazard tree.
We'll take that.
Like that one looks like it's leaning kind of.
Yes, ma'am, the bigger one is leaning, that's the.
Yeah.
The biggest one that I know that's a hazard.
Well, they need to file the pool.
On this picture, is
I would
the
do the
trees
numbers, they can get full as far enough
on
away.
this side that are coming out, these or these, what's coming out?
So everything that's in within
He
the
didn't have to
tape
file it.
rendering are fine. It would be 1, 2, 3. This one's on my neighbor's 4, 5.
Okay. So I believe this is clearly bigger than 6 inches, 6-inch DBH though. Is that what you said?
This more 6-inchers are down the line here, it just is how I'm angled. I'd say
Yeah,
maybe
no, I
4,
just
maybe
wanted-
4 to.
I just, just as a relative, I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing, I just. Did you look at these?
diameter.
I know, I have to make sure.
I mean, did you
I'm
walk?
going by the arborist, I'm not an arborist.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah, they may be-
You are?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Okay, absolutely,
I go by that.
but that's okay, but
It's okay.
I'd like to,
Just know what you're talking about.
yeah. Yeah, that's clearly bigger.
You haven't looked at it, you haven't?
Bill, you looked up the CR?
No, I have a question. Well, it's in connection with the conservation restriction.
Okay,
Are there bounds out there that will allow you to clearly identify which trees are in and out of the conservation
I
restriction?
believe it's yellow.
Yes, sir, that is my only marker that I have that I'm aware of. I said the conservation is more than welcome to come do a site visit, so there's no question. whatsoever of any trees that are gonna be affected.
Where's this located on the plan?
Yes, sir.
This one?
House right here, that would be that one. This one right here would be this one up here, and it's there's rocks right here.
Boulders,
The only thing about the boulders, which I read in the deed, it's supposed to be 15 feet center from deed line, and they're not, they're more of an angle. But that could be for a future discussion, because I plan on putting a fence all within the border line for my pets, just for my children also, so I can stay out of the wetlands as well.
I'm talking about.
You're gonna go see it,
Yeah.
as long as you're all right.
Yeah, I can do a state visit too.
We appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
So, just make a motion that the commission authorizes Mary to approve removal of the trees, within the conservation restricted area.
Say, I mentioned. What is that to pinning her side there?
Oh, yeah.
So, all in favor? Chris, I.
I.
Sandy, I.
Alan, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, let's vote on the commission.
So Mary's gonna go out there and she gives a thumbs up, you're good.
Great, sounds good.
Just be sure that you have something with you for us that you can show to people who might, say, oh, hi, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you're not filing a
Confirm
thing, so
everything
you
else.
won't have a sign.
Yeah,
If
I've
this
been,
were, if you were filing an order.
I've been doing a lot of areas,
Sign,
I typically recommend,
the
although I was
number
wondering if we should
people
talk
know.
about some more process.
Will do.
That's just emails, okay,
I'm sure Mary will email. you.
Potentially
It's all
be-
set.
reproduced, I guess.
Okay, so we're all set. You'll hear from
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you. Okay, now, report, we have administrator report.
Yeah, so speaking of trees,
Is Grace with us?
Grace is attending a workshop, and so she might pop on at 8:30, but I told her.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so. I did. Boy. 3 other tree visits between the last 2. And this actually, the first one, the Mendon Street, I maybe should have had him do it without RDA, and I don't have pictures of that one, but it he had 20 to 21 trees, but not all of them were within. Maybe, okay, a lot of them were, maybe half of them were within the buffer. Most of them were at least 30 feet from the wetland, but they were all like, he's got his house, he's got like 10 or 15 feet of lawn, and then he's got a line of trees, and they were all, within 5 to 10 feet of the edge of his lawn, going towards his house.
Oh.
So I figured, and he wants to put a pool in again, so I did approve, and his house, there was an order of conditions to build it, there is no COC, I reminded him of that and asked him to do that, but, and maybe next time I should have had him do an RDA, we'll see. I think the pool is gonna be, he says he's planning it so that it's over 100 feet, which is good though, good to have it. So that was kind of a lot of trees, but they were all kind of within 10 to 15 feet of his yard, and they're all huge, he's got a ton of other trees there.
They were all big trees?
Yeah, they were big.
Yeah.
And
Big leaning trees.
yeah, not maybe all of them leaning, but definitely would provide shading for the pond, and his house is right there, so. And then again, so I do have pictures of Oak Street. And again, these very large white pines, close to the lawn. These are actually the wetland bounds, I believe, are right along the edge of the ferns. These unfortunately were low, only 6 inches tall, so it's And here's his house, so the kind of the wetland bounds are here. Here's a few of the trees. So I gave him permission. That was 6 to 7 trees. And then 278 Mendon Street, if you remember, that was a new house where they accidentally went into the wetland when they were clearing. I went out to look at their restoration area. It looks very, very good. There's like sweet pepper bush going in there, cattails. This is the whole area. There's little baby white pines. Not all of it was wetlands, and they're gonna let it all go. So I was pleased with that. And I didn't include the pictures, but she's been trying to plant native trees in her huge yard. It's been dry, so they don't look super happy, but her goal is to keep them going. 126 Elm Street, this was a complaint from a neighbor. He had these trees removed, beyond the limit of work, the wetlands areas over here. He did assure me, though, that he and Dave Pickard had talked this through and he had permission to remove them, and so I'm just gonna trust him on this. There were like 6 of them.
So you talk about the deed restriction? Isn't this a lot where?
Yeah, this is the lot where the deed restriction is. I don't think this is in the deed restriction section, or maybe it is.
But
This
just
is right
in
next-
general, the deed restriction hasn't been filed, hasn't been read.
Yeah, no, he knows he's not done with this, but maybe I should put that on give him another call.
Don't get those questions.
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
He's not asleep.
Thank you. Thank you.
And his wetland restoration looks very good. Looks good. This is just erosion controls installed for an addition.
Oh, it's pretty fun.
This. Yeah. Oh, building the addition?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then more trees, 16 Hickory. This was a little bit of a more of a no-brainer. Almost all of these were dead and they were gonna hit his driveway. Maybe some of them were relatively close to the wetland, maybe 5 to 10 feet, but they're all completely dead, and he's happy to drop them.
I was just gonna ask if, encourage them to do that.
Yeah,
It's probably cheaper for the homeowner. And, you get some habitat and some carbon storage.
right, yeah, I think I told that to the Oak Street guy as well. Yeah.
That's good.
This is North Street. If you remember the Westboro Road lots, one of them is on North Street. He finally put it was finally dry enough for him to attempt to start the crossing there.
Oh, that's terrible, isn't it?
What? It's finally dry enough, yeah.
Well,
This one, I think I need to get after. This is 9 Hartford Ave North. There's the stream. He needs to fix this. It's not in the stream, but it's covered. The wattles are completely covered. So the silt fence is just holding it.
Where's that?
9 Hartford, so right across from the Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right in plain sight and without noticing.
yep.
In fact, the guy from in Oak Street, he said, "I was just down there. You should go check it out." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I will."
What's he doing there?
He has an order of conditions. It's old, and I kind of want to check the order. I feel like he should put some plantings along the stream. I don't know what we require him, because there's nothing. It's just grass all the way down to the stream. Seems like that ought to be restored somehow.
There's really bounds.
Right, that's a good question.
It's one of the
Right across from Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, and I think he had pulled out a building maybe, and then they finally finished grading it.
But there was a whole lot of stuff that went on there quite a few years ago, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so I maybe need to talk to you.
It is a Ralph Whitney, he lives next door, right?
Right, right.
I know between
Yeah, so this is the one, yeah,
between Ralph and the plaza.
yes. Yeah, there's not a lot of room there.
That's one of those places which has been in process forever.
Yes, that one has been in process forever. Yeah, and then we can, if we want, we can talk about the orders for the Pocket Park and Crockett Road. That's great, and we do, you know, I was thinking, oh, we're almost done with the 47B, things are slowing down, but we got 2 more filings this week, so.
Who wants a little one?
What's
Big ones or little ones?
a littler, yeah, nothing too big, easy stuff.
Is the 41B, I know it's none of our business, but you know, I get accosted by people all the time about the 41B.
Is it 40B or?
40B, whatever the B, the problem down there behind them. Is it it's 3 stories, right?
Or
Yes.
4 stories.
Yeah, so it is gonna be really tall,
It's gonna be really
It
tall.
was
That's-
gonna be fun.
I was gonna be fine.
Yeah, okay.
You can
I
see
knew
why
they
the,
took out a couple out, but.
can see why the neighbors are disturbed. With the height.
Yeah, for my golfing friends are kind of in a twit over it.
Yes.
I don't blame them, I mean.
No, I know,
it's-
I mean, it is what it
It's
is.
gonna happen, you just
Yeah.
have to live with it, it's not, people have to live places.
Yeah.
So, sorry,
Yes.
it's nothing to do with us, how many stories it is. I didn't wanna ask in our hearing, it's had nothing to do with it.
Great. Yeah, so we could, maybe we should do the other meeting stuff and then get to the other orders
Okay,
later.
that sounds good. How about, administrative report? Do you have Grace's minutes?
Yeah, we do now, Grace is here,
Oh. Yay.
just in time.
I hope her workshop was rewarding.
Yeah, one of the MACC ones,
Yeah.
there she is.
Hi, Grace. There. How was the workshop?
It was good. I definitely learned some new things.
Maybe she can teach them to us.
That would be good.
She can share the slides.
Okay.
Tell stories about crazy commission.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't talk about us, did you?
Oh, no.
Good girl.
So we don't have any new invoices tonight, but this is our balance sheet with the FY25 new balances.
And $5,000 in the conservation fund is probably not reflected there yet, because she's doing what's in Vadar. But we will remember to ask Kenny if it doesn't show up within like a month.
Excellent.
Thank you. Excellent.
You know, you might want to add, I mean, go to the obligated expenses, like $8,500 for the trail bridges.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And, or District 9.
Hey, what's next?
Grace, do you have minutes for us?
The last meeting, which was July 10th.
Right. Give me a motion to approve the minutes from July 10th.
So moved.
Second, give a second.
Second,
Okay. Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, I.
Sandy, I.
Mike abstains.
Ursula? Excellent. So we have 4 members voting and 2 abstaining. And 1 abstaining and 1 not eligible. Anything else, Grace?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Now, how about our open things?
Sudbury Valley Trustees is agreed to pay for the appraisal on Mechanic Street, 0 Mechanic Street, or just as property. And is actively seeking a appraiser at this point. And they will make SVT in the town of Upton parties that appraisal is being done for. So at this point, the only appraisal that we could be doing would be the one on church property. And if you guys want to pay for it from conservation fund, I could ask Tony to include that when he talks to appraisers. If not, I'll just have to continue to search for funding. CPC at this point.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if we could ask the CPC to use administrative funds, or at least part of it. We have $25,000 a year administrative budget, and I know some of that goes towards Grace's salary for being CPC assistant, but it's some additional funds. So if we can figure out what's the appraisal going to be in 6?
Yeah, that sounds 6 to 10. It's depending upon.
So we could see possibly could vote to use this as administrative funds. So
For some of it, yeah, okay.
So
Well, I'm on the agenda for next Wednesday, I guess. Yeah, we from tonight.
in the North Street appraisal, that's just yeah.
The Fay Mountain Road. Yeah, well, until we know what they want to appraise, we can't ask for an appraisal. And I'll be meeting with the owner and his son in early August. To walk the property, at least part of it, and talk and to finalize with them what portion of that they want to offer to the town. Oh, and I did want to mention, I'm talking to Tony Chabelle, SVT, about this as well. There is a horse farm for sale for $3.5 million off of Mendon. One of the parcels, the 47-acre parcel, is currently in chapter. So if they do entertain an offer, they finally get an offer that's been on the market for a while. If they get an offer for that property, we will presumably have the opportunity. And that 47-acre parcel is abuts actually at this point landlocked parcel, first state forest parcel off of Chestnut. When we have the we have the easement on Chestnut to get to that. And if Hopedale is successful in restoring their right of first refusal on the railroad property, then we'd have access to it. Unfortunately, we still have the problem of having to cross over the railroad. But I just wanted to mention that because that could come up anytime.
If there's no change in use, ownership can change.
That's true, that's true. And actually, given what's up there, it's unlikely that the use would change. So that's a good point, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. And I want to mention with the appraisal, if conservation was to pay for half of it, CPC might be more willing to pay for the other half.
Maybe for the CPC meeting when you get him on. What our resources are.
Right.
Talking about the appraisal.
Right, so I usually like to see they coming from more than one place.
And actually, before I would seek an appraisal, I want to meet with the RecCom to find out whether or not they have any interest. I think it'd be a great ad. Provide, probably provide for a much larger trail networks. So you'd have some, walking, passive recreation type activity as well as whatever else they have planned. Oh, and then finally, I talked to the owner of the Wildwood land. He still hasn't resolved whether or not there's access to it, but he's exploring. If there is access, he's exploring an idea of doing some sort of recreation center type thing. So it'd be a shared, active sort of recreation plus passive recreation. Not ideal from a preservation perspective, but he chooses to do that. That's his prerogative. But I think it'll be a little while before he resolves whether or not he has access and exactly what he would want to do with it.
You think he's ready for town meeting in November?
There's a chance he won't be. I think his You'd have to figure out how he's gonna raise funds to do recreation things. So we'll see.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, how about land stewardship? Marcella?
Well, I'm probably not the person to be making presentations. I'm not the chair anymore. But I to fill you in on what's going on with the District 9 schoolhouse property. SVT, we're trying to work out an arrangement where SVT will give money to the town so that the town can pay Bob Hatch. I guess there's some glitch about SVT not being able to pay him unless there's some workman's comp thing. And the town of Upton doesn't have that requirement, but so it sounds complicated and convoluted, but that's in process. Mike, if you want to elaborate on that, you've been communicating with Dan.
There, talking to Dan from SCT and town manager, and SCT will basically write the town a check for half the cost of those two bridges, and then the town will pay the contractor. SCT wrote a letter to the commission, which it has to go before the selectmen, because selectmen have to approve donations. But I think it's.
Okay.
Is Bob anything other than a sole proprietor? I mean, workman's comp only applies when you have workman to comp.
What Dan said in the email was that he talked to his financial folks at SCT, and that person read them out contract.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So we kind of told them.
Marcella, who's the chairperson of land stewardship?
That's still a mystery. I guess technically I'm stuck with the job until somebody steps in, but
Yeah.
I may not show up for a few meetings, and that'll force the issue. And that said, we have a lot of work to do, and we could use more volunteers. We haven't been working on any of the projects in earnest, in part because we don't have people around. People are on vacation. The weather's been hot and sticky and wet, and so this summer really we've gone this far and we really haven't done much at all. So that's disappointing, but hopefully we'll get some more people helping out with volunteer work. And if there's anyone, if you know of anybody who has an interest, not necessarily joining the committee, but just being available to do trail work and work on some other projects, that would be great.
Marcella, thank you for filling in with for the chairperson who's not. Thank you. So,
PPA.
So Mary, do you want to go over the questions? Or just hold it?
Yeah, we can briefly look at the orders of conditions.
I have one, actually, I'm sorry, I have one more. Katie from KP Law has drafted a deed for the Azalea Lane open space, which needs to be approved at town meeting, so it'll be on town meeting. That's, we won't be getting that.
Share custody control constitution.
Yes.
Excellent.
So this is for Crockett Road. It's pretty much a standard order. If you remember, this is the two houses on the lake, and we had asked them to put a little bit of natural vegetation along the shore. And so, and I I asked them to make sure they have chapter 91 dock licenses. And then just a planting list, because they didn't really detail planting areas. And I thought because this was such a small private property, we wouldn't have to have a certified wetland scientist out there reviewing. But maybe the homeowner can, you know, twice a year send us pictures and, oh, how many are alive and dead, just ask for that. But still keep with our standards of 80% survival, et cetera, over a 2-year period. So that's just kind of.
I think I've said this before, the 5% invasive species thing bothers me. I mean, that's a big hard thing.
Okay.
I know that, and if you got a site with phragmites, you know, and 1% is a disaster long term, you know, just, there's no reason why they can't, you know, after a couple years, whatever the long-term period, be free of invasive species.
I have that in my template. I gotta get rid of it. Change.
I'm pretty sure that was Dave, and I mean, it's very common, but
Right.
you really think about it. You know, this.
Yeah.
They spread.
Yeah, they do.
5% now we cover is be a disaster.
So invasive, native invasive too, or just non-native invasive?
Well, not, I think non-native invasive.
Okay, well, there's a, you know, there's cattails are invasive, so, you know, so is,
The mugworts.
yeah, there's a lot
That's not.
different, you know,
That's not native.
trees, locust, black locust is invasive. There's a lot of natural native things that are invasive. So we're gonna talk about non-native invasive.
Yeah, I can fix that. Yeah, and then the last thing was, maybe to have on these natural shoreline areas to be delineated on the as-built and have to be remain natural vegetation in perpetuity. I think it's gonna be pretty tempting for some homeowner to go in and cut those down. So that, I mean, we wouldn't have to, we did that on 93 Crockett Road though for his, and he already had natural area. This place doesn't really have hardly anything. So.
They've got a lot of shorefront there.
They have a lot of shorefront.
They have Dolian.
Yeah. So if you guys are okay with that, I'll include that.
Yeah, but it's hard to monitor.
Right, it's hard to, but if it's on the
You can
as-built,
address it when it comes up, or if it comes up, or something.
okay, so otherwise it's pretty much our standard conditions. So this, if you guys wanna, I don't know if you wanna vote to approve it, but I'll go ahead and issue these.
Okay. Do a motion to approve the minutes.
I think we did it already, didn't we?
We closed the hearings, as. And for Warren Street, this is the pocket park. Yeah, Mike, you had a suggestion. And, yeah, I had written up the whole thing under the concerns about, you know, flooding and this and that, and the bank or whatever. But I can add your condition as well, and that'll be a little bit redundant. So I had the concerns here, and then one of my conditions was that the representatives from the town shall meet with the commission to discuss concerns and see if there's any way to resolve them. But I'll add your condition as well, and then it'll just be more clear all around.
And basically what?
Yeah, I can find the email. Applicant is encouraged to address the stream bank erosion problem at Church Street culvert, whether or not, yeah, and that's actually a little different. Because erosion may eventually threaten the purpose of recreation.
Park, P-A-R-K.
Editor.
Wow. And then I thought it could help out the town a little bit by throwing in, I could just do an amended order rather than call an order for.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that makes sense. And then for Warren Street, what else? Well, they need to swap as well. Oh, and then I had forgotten about this, but the Norway maples, I was talking with one of the consultants and he brought it up. So just that we have a meeting and kind of evaluate the normal vehicles on site. Remove those that maybe we can say, we can get rid of these and, it would be a help and provide like more native species to come up, but we don't want to remove all of them and have no trees, so kind of weigh those things.
Just one day we're wearing maple. And that three things. It's wrong. So,
Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay.
I know she.
Absolutely.
Oh, there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It should be obvious with the red check stone.
By the way, I was checking out MVP awards, and I think the town applied for the MVP grant and Parker did not get it. I didn't see anything about in the list of 2024.
Words up, it's too bad. Oh. That was it. I was not gonna ask them to do a as-built for this.
You sure?
I don't know, you guys say if you had to do an as-built.
Do you have the certificate?
Let's see what we need to sign. I think some of the other things on the agenda might be one, and then I know the Dogwood West Trail is, has been sitting for a while.
Okay.
Have you received a response from the homeowner?
I never heard, it's been like 3 months now, so I don't know if now it's time to go back to Jake and Annie and see if we can proceed with them and just give up on the connecting trail idea. We never got anything. Of course, we could follow up and say, we never heard anything, just wanna just do a follow-up letter, yeah. And then,
Planning on installing a trail within your 2 homes here.
yeah, oh, great. I guess we can sign the order for 47 Main Street. Excellent.
That's a lot of people didn't sign in. I developers and I have to get on the next one.
You take care of that, you jump right on, you was a teacher and everything. You get them in a little here.
Well, I think they thought they weren't, they were.
They were about it.
They were invited, yes. As opposed to.
Uninvited guests.
Well, I liked it, the townspeople come.
That was great. It's a bad movie.
Yeah, the only other things on the agenda are Robertson Trail Bridge, Bonner area, Five Forks Farms.
Who's the item for 5 Forks Farm?
The what to do with the stone piles. And like, I don't know if you wanted to say something about the stone.
I'm gonna hassle her about those stones again. Give her a break.
We should give her a break.
Yeah.
Give her a lot of breaks, all right.
We don't
We
need,
gave her a
we
very
should
good,
just,
gave her a good break last time.
we don't need those stone walls to become rubber piles, And, I'm
But
sure.
I'm concerned that there's gonna be more and more stones coming out of the ground, and this is gonna be an eternal problem, so, getting her to find a place to store those would be
It's
helpful.
amazing, those mounds, what do they call
I totally agree, Marcel, that's the deal. Identify some stone disposal areas and ask them not to continue to dump them on the stone walls.
them? Maybe they can make cairns for
Aren't
the
they
trails.
using it in the roadway or something? I mean, wasn't that part of it to do the?
They've done that. They've used a lot of small stones for the tracks between the fields, and they've done what they can.
The spillway is still an issue because if you remember, some of the stones washed out last fall
Let's see.
and they haven't, we asked for kind of basically a
Like, yeah. Kurt Rover?
Okay. Yeah, actually, Mike, you missed a bunch of these that you could sign, but everything else, everyone else is signed.
Okay, very excited. And the Warren Street.
Good, yeah, Warren Street and 71 Crockett.
Okay.
You guys signed those last week.
I don't think I thought you signed
Yeah.
Warren.
Right, if you weren't there to vote on it, same, neither of those actually.
Okay. And this one is.
47.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I guess technically, Mike, if you weren't there last week, you should do the Mullins Rule certification piece of paper.
Well, you know what, there's 4 signatures on this.
The Mullen,
Well, let's see if we work.
the Mullen rule, because
Yes,
that involves the town adopting.
so the town has adopted it.
Oh, they did?
They did, somebody researched it, or, yeah, it's been adopted. So now, there's a piece of paper, if you miss a meeting. you have
No, I
this-
understand the concept, but when we first started talking about it, I didn't realize that it required the town to adopt it, and I've seen nothing.
Yeah, Mike Antonelli says, I don't know when they adopted it, but they have adopted it. I don't know whether it was recently or whether they dredged it up that it was done sometime in the past and nobody knew.
But I think it's more likely than that. Because I was looking at the bylaws and such and see anything, I didn't find anything in there, so.
Well, on the 40B, I might have missed the first meetings.
Yeah, I think this is the third, right?
Do you have to be present for both of them or all of them?
This is how it works, in order to vote on a project, you're supposed to be there for every single hearing. You're allowed to miss, I think, up to one. But that if you miss the one, you gotta either watch the video or study the minutes, look at all the documents and sign the paper and say, I studied it. That's why Mike's like, I don't wanna do it. Mike's like, I'd rather not.
Well,
Thinking that-
on that one, I guess we're supposed to be careful.
Right, right. And so I think, as long as we have a quorum, like as long as there's 4 people that can vote, then we don't have to worry about it, but.
So if you've read the minutes for the meeting, have you read the minutes for that hearing? Yes.
Yeah, so if you like, you missed a meeting and you read the minutes, then that would qualify.
Right.
But you have to certify that you.
Right, you have to, there's a piece of paper you have to sign.
Come down, let you witness us reading.
Yeah.
Oh, my dog put his paw print on.
I did the
No, I-
certification, my dog is.
What
Yeah,
else,
I think-
what else do we not like? Okay, I would like to talk about the Robertson Trail Bridge, funding and design. It's probably not in this, is it in this meetings packet? somewhere?
This picture,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you.
I don't know if it, I
Yeah.
think it made it in the packet, but it's on the website.
So, well, here's the deal, we got the design done with the I-beam design that we're all familiar with, but I have to come back with an amended order and have those plans reviewed by the commission and natural heritage and DCR. So, but we've got the design done at this point. Dave, I think he was on the Cape somewhere, and he saw a bridge something like this. And he alerted it to me. And so I did a little bit of sleuthing online and found this picture. It's an aluminum frame, they're built in Maine. A 42-foot bridge would cost about $12,000, not including shipping and decking. You still need to build abutments, just like we're building for the I-beam design. So there's a couple ways we can go here. You can just stick with the I-beam design. Another opportunity possibility would be to, pay someone to get a cost estimate for this design. I suspect it might not be too much different by the time you're done, but we don't know that.
Right, because that's, if the cost difference isn't
That's
different.
attractive.
Yeah, but you still have to get approval.
Well, no, I mean,
Is it strict?
well, let me finish, okay. To do this, we'd have to have the design redone. Okay, we've got a design with I-beam on the bridge right now. We have to pay an engineer, you know, probably I'd say $5,000 to $10,000 to redo the drawing that showed this type of a bridge. But we did, you know, and that might not be cost effective if this isn't the cost of this is will be much different than I-beams. The other thing worries me a little bit about this design is durability. Now, if a tree falls on the I-beam design, it'll smash the railings.
The I-beam.
The I-beam's not gonna even feel it. If it, remember, we're in a wooded area. If a tree falls on this thing.
Not good.
Yeah. So,
I think at least we should just keep this in mind for the future, it would be my suggestion. I know,
I agree, it's
I
very
wouldn't- I
cute,
wouldn't
but
want to spend 10 grand to do a plan and, you know, I would be opposed to
what's this made of? The
aluminum,
just the whole thing is aluminum?
aluminum with track, plastic wood.
So if a tree came on that, it would,
crush it.
It'd be a problem.
Yeah, big picture.
yeah.
Can horses use the other one?
No, this is just a pedestrian bridge for us.
And which day told you that, Z-Mac or?
See,
This is cute though.
Yeah, I do too, but I don't have the stomach to go through this again.
It doesn't live up in Church.
Now, once you make a decision, you have to stay.
if that's the consensus, then we'll get an amendment or.
Why did you come and dangle this in front of us then?
Full disclosure, yeah, you know,
It
I
just,
know what you have to do. I agree with, you know.
it doesn't look so.
But, think, you know, maybe some other places to be.
Well, that's, yeah, I'm thinking in the future, we should look at that.
But,
Then in the bridge file.
so anyway, the next step. After we get the final. Approvals, is to put this on the street for bid, and the construction window starts October 5th, the next construction window is October 15th through April 15th. So if we get our act together and get this out quick, it's possible, say, I was thinking maybe the apartments could be constructed this fall. You know, and we could do the. You know, the I-beam next spring, we've got the wood turtle window. So I don't know if that's realistic, but. Can ask Joe, see if you can get it out quick.
Right, so this would need to go before town meeting for funding.
No, definitely.
Oh, okay,
Well, we've got $120,000 CPA funding.
okay.
We've used about 13,000 for the design.
I see, we were hoping for the Trails grant, and that, then we would have had to spend it, but you still have money. Okay.
Right. It's possible we might need to kick a little bit in. Depending what the bid comes in. That's the other thing, the longer we go without putting this on the street, you know, just glacier, costs are just gonna go up, so. And the CPA article was already 2 years ago. So,
Does the CPA article have a drop dead date?
I don't think it does.
CPA, all they want to do is know when project's done. And when it's left over.
So I'll give you the request for amendments.
Yes, yeah, and I think I already made plans, right?
You should have a plan,
Yeah.
so much sometimes that you see, because they call it the cigar. And you have to check.
So do you have anything else for the commission? Motion to adjourn.
No move.
How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, good job.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.